From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8 Podcast, a Wish TV News 8 update.
Hi, Hannah Mordo here, and this is your News 8 Daily for Thursday, April 23rd. It is going to be absolutely perfect outside today. A little bit mild out there right now. We're going to warm up to the upper 70s to low 80s. There's going to be low humidity, breezy conditions, warm conditions. It is going to be absolutely perfect, especially if you're headed to Bloomington to cheer on the Hoosiers for their spring football game.
Central Indiana. Wish TV is now live on YouTube TV and Hulu Live, offering more hours of local programming than any other station. Search for Wish TV or look for CW8 on both YouTube TV and Hulu Live to find us. Watch local news, sports, and lifestyle shows live from Wish TV. You can still catch Wish TV free over the air or stream it live on wishtv.com and on the free Wish TV mobile apps. Wish TV, available in more places for the latest news, weather, and sports.
Breaking news. The U.S. Senate has taken the first step to fully reopen the Department of Homeland Security, voting to fund ICE and the Border Patrol in a new budget plan. It happened just before 4 this morning. The plan passed despite opposition from Democrats. It now heads to the House to adopt the framework, then back through both chambers for a final vote. The Senate has already voted to reopen most of the Department of Homeland Security besides ICE and Border Patrol. The Chicago Bears are one step closer to staying in Illinois. The Illinois House passed a bill aimed at keeping the team there. It's called the Mega Projects Bill. It passed 78-32 yesterday. The bill sets up property tax rates that would help build a new Bears stadium. Now it is up to the state Senate to approve the move. Indiana Governor Mike Braun signed a bill in February to establish a stadium authority to help build a stadium for the Chicago Bears here in Hammond, Indiana. The Bears said that changes would need to be made to the Illinois bill before they would consider accepting it. News 8's Hernan Gutierrez is on this story this morning here on Wish TV. He's going to expand on it. We now know the name of the Plainfield robbery suspect that police shot and killed in Hendricks County yesterday. Police say Dustin Horwath was wanted for robbing a Chase Bank. News 8's Kat Sandoval explains what happened.
Police say they found the suspect driving along US 40 in Bellevue in this blue car. Officers used a grappler device to stop him, and you can see it attached to the cruiser. But police say once the car stopped, the suspect took off running with a gun. Police say the suspect ran into a nearby yard. Officers say that's where things escalated into a standoff, and they say multiple shots were fired. I spoke with a neighbor who lives near the scene. He told me he heard at least 10 gunshots and says the situation lasted about 30 minutes.
I do feel a little unsettled and unsafe about it because living kind of a rural area, I feel like I should feel a little bit safer, but this is the way the world is going.
He says something like this almost never happens here. Police haven't said exactly how many shots were fired or how many officers were involved, but they do say the suspect was hit by police fire. Officers that opened fire have been placed on administrative leave. First responders transported the suspect to a local hospital where he later died. Police identified the suspect as 54-year-old Dustin Horwath of Clayton, Indiana. No officers were hurt.
We start hearing about things like this, and it's unfortunate to have this type of thing in your backyard, you know.
Police say the suspect was wanted for a bank robbery in Plainfield. It happened Tuesday.
Well, I don't know the whole story. It just said that someone had to die.
The investigation shut down US 40 for hours. Police say they're using new technology like these 3D scanning cameras that could help investigators recreate the scene. I'm Kat Sandoval for Wish TV, wishtv.com.
A Marion County judge has sentenced the man who stabbed a worker at the Indiana Convention Center to 60 years in prison. A jury found Brian Fulton guilty in the death of 58-year-old Al Gosnell. Police say Fulton stabbed Gosnell to death in September of 2024. Gosnell was a sound technician and a longtime employee with an audiovisual company that supports events at the convention center. Investigators say Fulton admitted to the killing. Police in Bloomington say a woman is critically injured and her son is under arrest after a house fire. Police arrested 37-year-old Shander Jackson for attempted murder and arson. Officers say he started a fire at his mother's house on South Rogers Street Tuesday night. First responders found her severely injured inside the house, yelling for help when they arrived. She now has life-threatening injuries. Police tracked down Jackson to a motel in Mitchell and took him into custody yesterday. Here in Indianapolis, the Department of Metropolitan Development is proposing a new set of zoning regulations for data centers. Right now, the city has no zoning regulations specific to developing data centers. iTeam's Tim Spears explains.
Any new technology, right, it creates a lot of questions and concerns.
The Metroblock's data center hasn't quite started construction on Sherman Drive, and Councilmember Ron Gibson says he hasn't quite finished repairs after a gunman shot through his home, leaving behind a note saying no data centers.
You know, I know there's a lot of fear out there in terms of data centers.
He hopes some clarity could calm some fears. The Department of Metropolitan Development has proposed new zoning regulations specific to data centers. It would set minimum distances from protected districts like neighborhoods, require water and electric utility plans, and set noise limits at 65 decibels, about as loud as a dishwasher or a conversation.
I think this ordinance fails to create basic protections for Hoosiers.
The conversation Citizens Action Coalition wants to have is whether there should be more restrictions, especially on environmental impacts. That could include greater noise limits, requirements to use clean energy, and annual reporting on water use.
So I think that ordinance right now is more designed to streamline the process for a new data center to come.
The coalition and Councilor Gibson both want to see developers cover the cost of any utility infrastructure needs. As written, developers would only need assurances from utility providers that electric and water capacity is available.
Any development to come in Indianapolis, Marion County, we must require that developer to uphold 100% of the costs.
The Metropolitan Development Commission will discuss the ordinance during its next meeting May 20th. If approved, it could go on to the City County Council as early as June 1st.
The fact of the matter is data centers are coming whether we want them to or not. Well, how do we make sure they're more responsible? How do we make sure that they invest in our community? And how do we make sure that that investment is what we want?
There are a pair of public input meetings scheduled for next week, one on Tuesday, one on Thursday, but people who want to join have to RSVP in advance. Reporting on the east side, Tim Spears, iTeam.
In your vote 2026, Indiana BMV officials say they are extending their hours for the primary election. All BMV branches will be open the day before the election day on May 4th. Branches will be open from 8:30 in the morning till 8 at night. Then the BMV is also extending its hours from 6 in the morning to 6 in the evening on May 5th, election day. That's when the polls are open that entire time for the primary. The BMV says it will focus on processing ID cards, learner permits, and driver's licenses. A photo ID is required to vote here in Indiana. The city of Pittsburgh is hosting the NFL draft tonight. Indianapolis has yet to host the draft, but the city is hoping to change that. Andrew Chernoff has more on how Indianapolis will be represented this week in the Steel City as Indy builds a case for the draft to come to the Circle City.
The city of Indianapolis has hosted just about everything, but one thing is missing.
It's this one remaining event that we just haven't been able to steer into place.
That event, the NFL Draft.
That's something that's long been on our radar and an event we really think we are in a front-runner position to host.
Visit Indy Executive Vice President Chris Gall says that's why this week representatives from Indianapolis will be in Pittsburgh at the draft.
This year we feel the timing is right to send an official delegation, to kick the tires, to take notes, and then come back and really refine our pitch for Indy into the future for the NFL Draft.
Indy has sent people to the draft in recent years to take notes, get ideas, and meet with the NFL. Ideally, the city would love to host the event sometime in the 2030s, but it knows it's a process. As of now, Indy has not yet been invited to bid for it, although even Colts GM Chris Ballard believes it's a no-brainer.
Everything's so centrally located, it's easy to navigate. Nobody does it better. You just saw it with the Final Four. Like the big events we have, nobody does it better.
Our hope is that we will be asked to officially bid on this event, that we can officially put all of our ideas and creativity onto paper, onto film, and say, this is our vision.
Gall believes that the walkability downtown and all the new construction helped make the case to the league that it should bring the event here to Indy.
We have $3 billion in new tourism-related infrastructure coming online, record-setting number of flights arriving daily from nonstop destinations. So when we look at 2030 and beyond, it's with the lens that tourism is growing, the city is changing.
Indy's pitch to the league can include the fact that the NFL Combine has been here for nearly 40 straight years.
We do not believe the Combine and the draft are mutually exclusive. We could and should host both simultaneously. And can you think about a prospect arriving for the Combine and then completing his journey by walking across the stage in Indy to be drafted within a short amount of period of time?
How cool would that be? A prospect achieves his dream of getting drafted to the NFL, while at the same time, Indy achieves its dream of hosting the draft. Andrew Chernoff, Wish TV and WishTV.com.
We are getting you ready for the draft tonight. Just go to WRTV 6 starting at 7:30 to see All Access Indy, the draft. IU quarterback Fernando Mendoza is expected to be the #1 overall pick. Go Hoosiers. And we're going to hear from Mendoza tonight. We'll also go one-on-one with head coach Curt Cignetti ahead of IU's spring game tonight. That's all coming up in our 30-minute special. Then you can watch the NFL draft at 8 o'clock on WRTV 6. Heinz Ketchup is paying homage to its Pittsburgh roots for the NFL draft this week. Heinz Company says that it will award a lifetime supply of ketchup to the 57th overall draft pick. The number pays homage to the number 57, which is on the ketchup bottles for 157 years. Heinz says that the draft pick will become Mr. 57 and will get a custom jacket and a lifetime supply of ketchup. The Chicago Bears are set to have that 57th overall pick. Indiana Fever are gearing up for their first preseason game. It's this Saturday. The team hosted Media Day yesterday. We got a chance to talk to star guard Caitlin Clark. She is getting ready to get back on the court for the first time since her season-ending injury. She says it is the fans that have helped her get through a really tough year.
Even if I'm not out there being able to throw crazy passes or hit a long shot, like, they can still find a lot of joy in showing up and, getting to see somebody they idolize, and that can give them a little bit of hope. So I think that was probably the best thing for me, is a realization of, it's not all about the way you perform every single day. And
Fever take on the New York Liberty on Saturday for their first preseason game. Tip-off is at 3 p.m. And now unsealed autopsy report is revealing what could have led to the death of the 14-year-old girl the singer David is charged with killing. The coroner's report reveals that she died from penetrating wounds. A medical examiner's office in L.A. ruled the death of Celeste Rivas Hernandez was a homicide. The autopsy gave limited evidence due to her body being found dismembered and decomposing. According to the examination, though, her body had 2 penetrating wounds on the torso with smooth edges that may represent sharp force injuries. Judge had ordered the report to be sealed late last year at the request of law enforcement, but prosecutors agreed to allow its release this week. Back here in Indiana, state lawmakers are raising questions about a newly created state position paying in the 6 figures. This comes as the former director of the Indiana Department of Child Services will stay on as a special advisor to the governor. I-Team's Kara Kenny explains why lawmakers and taxpayers are concerned about that decision.
I've been flooded with text messages, emails, and Facebook messages from taxpayers angry and demanding answers as to why Governor Braun created a new position for former DCS Director Adam Krupp. We spent the day trying to get answers.
The new DCS Director, Jennifer Dorfmeyer, will receive a $210,000 salary for leading the agency of 4,000 employees.
We care deeply about children.
Adam Krupp will get the same $210,000 salary as special advisor to the governor.
I am concerned because this is out of the normal of how government works.
State Senator Fadi Kadura has served on the Family and Children's Services Committee and currently serves on appropriations.
This position as a governor's advisor never existed before for that specific role. So it seems that this was a personal privilege that was afforded to a government employee that was not extended to others. That special treatment and favoritism is not something that I support.
We asked how Krupp's position will be funded. The senator says it will likely be absorbed within the 2026 budget.
The budget for the $210,000 has to come from the governor's office, given that the appointed advisory position will report to the governor. They could potentially structure it in a way that the Director Krupp is actually paid by DCS while still working for the governor's office.
DCS's budget is $1.5 billion. Under Krupp, dozens of employees were terminated or reassigned in the name of operational efficiencies.
I find it extremely difficult to understand the logic behind creating additional layers of bureaucracy in state government while letting the frontline workers be either terminated or underinvested in and underpaid and overworked.
I spoke with Representative Greg Porter, also a Democrat. He says Governor Braun owes the public an explanation for this decision. I-Team asked Governor Braun's office for an on-camera interview. We're still waiting on that. In his statement on Wednesday, Braun told us, "I am grateful for Adam Krupp's service and the changes he has made to improve DCS. I have every confidence in Jennifer and her ability to lead this important work at such a critical agency."
I would have been more in favor of using $250,000 to hire 3 additional case managers that actually can oversee cases and reduce the workload and improve the quality and oversight of investigations that DCS performs.
Lawmakers say this could also create confusion as to who is really in charge at DCS, the new director or the special advisor. We'll continue to dig for answers. Kara Kenny, I-Team.
This has been your News 8 Daily from Wish TV. I'm Hannah Mordeau. Watch us on Wish TV and wishtv.com.
This is the News 8 Daily 8 podcast, a Wish TV News 8 update on demand. For even more, on demand and on the go, connect with Wish TV on Facebook at wishtv.com and on the free Wish TV mobile app. Thank you for listening, and be sure to like, subscribe, and follow this podcast for updates every weekday morning on the All Indiana Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcast.